You see, that's the part most Jews don't understand. They think, okay, yeah, there is this war. We know this attack is coming. We're going to attack. They're going to attack. There's going to be loss of life and it's going to be devastating. But now we'll be able to finally start to rebuild. You see, they're looking for that peace and safety because what do they think's coming? They think they're going to rebuild the city and the streets and the temple. Just like Begley and everybody else. They think, don't worry, no tribulation's coming. You got to wait for them to rebuild the temple and the city and everything. And once they rebuild the third temple, then Antichrist will come in. Do you understand why, guys? Foundation is in Matthew for them. With a foundation in Matthew, you see things from Matthew's eyes. You get it? The temple won't start to get rebuilt and everything until the first half of trumpets. When the Lord is on heavenly Mount Zion, then they will be rebuilding the city and the streets and the temple. And they will lay it on the foundation that will have been built about mid-seals. You get it? Okay? So you can see this is going to be what's going to cause, is going to be absolutely terrifying hearing these reports. But it's not the end of Israel yet. It's but the first thing that must happen. The first attack. The first warning for the church. And then look what he says, see? And when you see these things, begin, look up. See? And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up, lift up your heads, for your redemption draws nigh. You see how much more exciting that is, the way to understand it now? But how is it that this says first, and yet the end in verse 36 says that you're going to escape all these things? Do you know why? Because the story doesn't begin till here. This is I don't mean pre-trib. I mean, this is before everything begins. This is before everything begins. So this is what we're going to see first. You're going to see this first attack. And it's going to be terrifying for Christians who expected not to see anything like this. The world is going to be in a panic too. They're going to be freaking out when they see that war because it's going to be worse than people think. See, and then it says, then he said unto them, nation against nation. And the reason he says, then he said unto them, you only get that in Luke. You don't get that in Mark and Matthew. Because he's telling us we're not going to see it. This is what Matthew and Mark are going to see. Then he said unto them. Okay, and now this is tribulation. This is the all of seals. And then you guys all know, but before all these, they shall lay hands on you and persecute you. Then we see what? Some of you put into prison, to death, and so forth. But then you see what? And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed by armies, know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Which desolation? The second. This is now when they will be removed from the land. This one coming here is the second one that will be by Assad and those with them from the north. So now when you see this must first come to pass, it is what's first coming to pass. It's going to be the first attack on Israel. It's going to freak everybody out. And then look at what it says down here. Verse 28. And when these things begin to come to pass. You ever wonder how it seemed confusing? I know I did. You ever wonder how it seemed confusing that first of all, there's a first come to pass. Then there's going to escape all these things that are supposed to come to pass. And then around the middle end, you have, and when these things begin to come to pass, lift up your heads for your redemption draws nigh. You're like, but what? Are we not going to see everything? Are we going to see something? You see, it's the same type of thing. It's the same question that I was talking about that when she posted it 3 months ago, I was saying the same thing. You know, there's not quite this clarity. But as we continue to press on, as we continue to dig, we see greater and greater and greater clarity coming forward. Brothers and sisters, we are going to see, unfortunately, the first thing come to pass. But when we do, lift up your eyes, lift up your heads, for the redemption will draw nigh. For when they shall say peace and safety,